I do want to just say thanks again to Kevin for coming and for sharing that welcome and really helping set the stage for this event. And thank you, Kevin. Really, please extend our thanks really to the rest of your office. Your fellow AVPR, Jackie Burkell, has been so helpful. Douglas and Miriam and Natalie and that whole team have really been very supportive of this work. So thank you again for that, for giving this little grassroots upstart thing some oxygen. It's been really valuable. My job for the next couple minutes before we get on with some of the more formal research presentations is just to provide a really quick snapshot of this group, of this network, and just to maybe provide a little bit of context if you're new to this network, give a little bit of background. So really briefly, just to chat about the objectives of the Complex Adaptive Systems Lab, take a few minutes to think about the kind of network demographics, look at some of the resources that have been developed, and highlight a couple opportunities upcoming. Our objectives are really, first of all, to be an interdisciplinary hub. And thinking here of systems complexity as kind of our common lexicon across disciplines. Few of us, if any of us really, are complexity theorists formally in a professional sense. We're largely here, coming from other origins, from other points of expertise, and wrestling with the questions and the lens of complexity in the domains in which we work. And so days like today are an opportunity to to kind of share some of that work in progress, not necessarily as complexity experts all the time, but as people who are applying the questions of complexity to a specific field. And I was talking to someone who's presenting later today, earlier this week, and they were saying, well, I looked at the list of presenters and feeling like a little bit of the imposter syndrome thing, to which I said, we're all trying to figure this one out. As soon as we open the door to a world of non-linear interactions, it doesn't make any sense for any of us to say that we are some kind of omniscient, all-seeing experts on this. So we're here to learn from each other. This idea of capacity building, it really dovetails from that point. How can we learn to think more holistically together? How can we, inspire one another towards more transdisciplinary opportunities in the work we do? And so again, complexity theory broadly is sort of that point of consilience, so to speak, to give us a basis for some of that shared thinking. Knowledge exchange, that's what we're here to do today. Learn from one another, increase our awareness of how complexity is being taken up across disciplines. And ultimately, application and collaboration. This is, I would say, still yet aspirational for us as a group, but very much, I think, a primary reason for being here, which is to ask, how can we leverage what we are learning about complexity to address, as Kevin mentioned earlier, the grand challenges of our time? Where does some of this more holistic synoptic thinking help us come together? And really the lab is about, connecting some of the conceptual, institutional, logistical dots in helping us, coordinate towards that end. Quick snapshot of what the demographics of this group look like. We have every faculty and affiliate represented so far in this group, with the exception of Brescia. Interesting to note, that the faculties of science, social science, and Schulich are the only three faculties representing more than 10% of the affiliated network. So there's a really neat kind of spread across faculties and affiliates, and just kind of a neat distribution between, traditionally qualitative and traditionally quantitative approaches to research. If we drill down into that a little bit more, by departments, it's just where do systems thinkers, where do complexity thinkers show up? And the question is, they're everywhere. And this is, as we've said, the effort, the purpose of this lab is just to help us find one another across not only the silos of faculties, but also very much the silos of departments. And in terms of kind of early to late career faculties, there's also a neat and meaningful spread. There's, I should note to date, we have not yet undertaken any kind of specific strategy to recruit faculty members who do not hold research appointments or graduate students yet. So far, those who are involved in those bottom two categories are people who have found us. We haven't done a systematic strategy yet for finding them. And so as of yesterday, I just jumped in to crunch the numbers to be as up to date as possible. So there's 94 faculty at Western who are interested in this discussion in one way or another, 6 graduate students, 14 undergraduate students, 4 staff, and that's people who are staff at Western, not people who are staff of the lab. The lab has no staff itself, and 4 external members. So about 122 people in the network. A couple of resources to just highlight real quick that I hope are helpful to our aims. The first is a online learning module. It's based within OWL, and we developed this because over the course of the lab's existence, we've had over 20 undergraduate students involved in one capacity or another, and we needed a means by which to help onboard students around the concepts of complexity relatively quickly, so that they could meaningfully contribute to a complexity framed project in the scope of a single term. And so a handful of students have actually developed this tool. Shout out to Emma, who will be hosting the afternoon session. She was involved in this project as well. So this tool is open and available to anyone who might find it helpful or useful. Website also has a kind of curated list of things that we've identified along the way that just seem particularly helpful. So we wanted to share them. And another piece that's building out is really this, I guess it's kind of an archive, but an overview of Western faculty sharing their work from a complexity lens. So a tool to kind of deep dive the application of complexity in varying programs of research here at Western. And then the last thing I just highlight is an ongoing project, which is essentially to develop literature reviews that explain or delve into how complexity is taken up across various disciplines, but not written for those disciplines. So if I am coming from engineering, maybe I'm just curious about, well, okay, we talk about complexity in this context, but how do people in healthcare talk about or think about complexity historically over the literature? How do people in biology? And then the most recent project, and our exceptional host, Kyra, was involved in this project actually over the summer, was looking at teams. So here at Western, how has complexity been used in thinking about group dynamics and teamwork? And there will be another session specifically about this project later on this afternoon. So that's just about it. If you're not kind of looped into the work of the lab, I'd encourage you to reach out. As has been said, we're a ragtag upstart group here at Western, and basically only asking 3 things of people getting involved, which is keep us in the loop with what you're doing, especially where complexity thinking is overlapping your work. Keep an eye on what other people are doing as we can share it, because really, and the long-term goal is we really do want to work towards some interdisciplinary collaboration and opportunities down the road. And that last point is to do what we're going to do today, which is share what we're learning with one another. So before turning it back to Kyra, I also just want to say thank you, Kyra, for jumping in and being the Grand Master of Ceremonies this morning. And it's thank you all for coming, and I look forward once again to learning from you all.